What's up, everyone? It's Tempt My Terror MTG here. I want to do a quick video about the upcoming banned and restricted list update that is coming July 13th that will be impacting Historic, Pioneer, Modern, and Pauper. Just wanted to go over what I think is potentially going to get banned, maybe what should get banned but might not. So it'll be a really interesting Monday to see what is coming and what will be affecting the format. So let's start off with Historic first. Historic's actually a format that I do enjoy a little bit. I'm not big into Standard at the moment, so Historic's kind of what I've been playing on Arena. So Historic essentially I think is a possibly a two-pronged attack that Wizards needs to do on this. So I think there's an issue in best of one, and I think there's still an issue in best of three. So let's start with the issue in best of one. So best of one currently I think is dominated mostly by Gruul midrange or mono red using Burning Tree Emissary. So I don't think I maybe shouldn't say ruled, but in playing best of one, I see a ton of Gruul midrange, and I still do see a ton of ramp into Field of the Dead. This isn't a field deck, but which, one of the issues in that is Uro, Titan of Nature's Wrath. I don't think Uro is going to go in Historic. I don't think Field is going to go in Historic. I think that may come down the line after Impact into one of the decks we're going to talk about. So let's talk about best of one still. So best of one, Gruul midrange. I think the issue with this deck, I don't think it's completely unfair. It hits you fast and it hits you hard. It's the games when you're running into 3 Burning Tree Emissaries into, a Robber of the Rich or a Zertaw Goblin or a Stomp from a Bone Crusher. Those are the turns where, you've played 2 lands. Turn 1 they start with Pelt Collector. Turn 2 they hit 3 Burning Trees and, Zertaw or Robber of the Rich. You potentially have nothing on the board. They have 2, 4, 6, 8... 9, 10, 11 power. So there's really nothing you can do at that point. It's hard to come back. They start curving into a Questing Beast, a Gruul Spellbreaker on the next turn, or on turn 3 they're hitting an Embercleave, and the game's over. So I think Burning Tree Emissary allows a little too much fast advantage, specifically in a best of one setting where you're not going to a sideboard and you have sideboard pieces. It's just you're not getting there. So there's games that you're in and you're out, in a matter of minutes and moments and turns, and it's all enabled by this card. So I'm starting to think Burning Tree Emissary in a best of one setting might need to go. This deck would still be good, but it'd be more fair on a normal curve. You still have ramp. You have Llanowar into a Gruul Spellbreaker on turn 2, into a Questing Beast on turn 3. That's still incredibly strong and fast, and in best of one, your deck needs to be able to keep up with that, or it's not going to work. So anyways, my guess for Historic best of one, Burning Tree Emissary is going to get the axe. Best of 3 in Historic, I think everyone knows. Oh, apparently can't go to that deck. It's Nexus of Fate. Nexus of Fate has to get the hit. It's not a fun card to play against. It's not a fun deck to play against. It's incredibly frustrating and time-consuming. There are Nexus of Fate, pass a turn, Searcher's Cant, and Nexus of Fate. Unless you're conceding or you want to watch them, sometimes they can't even get all the way that they need to get, and you've wasted 5, 6, 7 minutes on their turn. It's just not a fun play style to play against. It's a good deck. I'm not saying it's a bad deck. But it's definitely it's unfun, and it's ravaging best of 3 in Historic. And I think when you have a deck that is 55 to 65% of what you're playing, if not more, against, you either have to play the deck, which it's mirror matches, and you might not even find the style of deck fun, but you're trying to get some wins, grind some wins, get to mythic rank, into the top 1200. And Nexus of Fate is just. It's not fun. It needs to go. It's definitely made best of 3 in Historic, essentially a Nexus of Fate format. So I think it needs to go. And best of 1, I think Burning Tree Emissary needs to go. And best of 3, I think Nexus of Fate needs to get the ban. Hammer. Okay, so our next format we can talk about Pioneer. So the Pioneer metagame right now is basically dominated by Dimir Inverter. As well, Lotus Breach. I don't think Lotus Breach is at the point where it needs to be banned. I don't even think Lotus Breach, the card itself, needs to be banned. I think the cards that enable it to do what it does need to be banned. So, like, maybe Lotus Field needs to be banned. Maybe a Fave Wishes. Like, the cards that are enabling this to go, this might not be the most powerful card if it doesn't have Lotus Field. So, it's a potential to be banned. Either Lotus Field. I don't think Fave Wishes is going to get banned, to be honest. But maybe we want to make Pioneer a healthy format again. I don't think it's a healthy format at the moment. I don't think it's an interesting format. We've seen over the last 2 weeks some of the Pioneer events on MTGO not even firing, not even having enough people to fire. So that's not what we want to see in a format that in the last year Wizards has really been pushing. And it seemed like, they were heading into a standard/Pioneer focus for competitive events with, Modern taking a bit of the back, not a bit of the back seat, but, having some more Pioneer events, maybe in place of Modern, but also maybe in place of Standard. We saw the SCG Tour replace a number of their Standard events with Pioneer, so that could definitely be the direction things go, but right now Pioneer is not, I don't think it's a healthy format or a fun format at the moment. So if I have to say my first banning, will be something from the Breach deck as well. So let's say an Underworld Breach or a Lotus Field, if they want to go that direction. What really needs to go is from the Dimir Inverter deck. So Dimir Inverter is essentially, if you want to call it, a Splinter Twin deck, just much less powerful. It definitely requires more to get to the point where you win. But there's three keys to this deck that enable it to win, and one of the 3 or multiple need to go. So the first is to just straight up ban Inverter of Truth. This deck goes away. The format switches away from a combo deck. You're not running cards in your sideboard specific against this deck. Same with Lotus Breach, I should mention. Damping Sphere. People aren't going to need to have Damping Spheres in their sideboard just for a deck. For one deck, I think it's counterintuitive to what Magic's trying to do. That's just my opinion. I might be wrong. You might disagree. So anyways, Damping Sphere in your sideboard specifically for a deck isn't super cool. So that's kind of where I went off with the Breach ban that needs to happen. But I think in this deck, I honestly think they should just ban Inverter of Truth. Banning Thas of Oracle, I mean, it's a win condition in this deck. Same with Jace. Jace isn't really played in a ton of other decks, if any other deck other than this. Maybe a few, blue-black mill decks. And Thassa's Oracle, I haven't really seen in a bunch of other decks. I mean, it is a merfolk. It does enable a win condition in those decks if the game grinds long, but it also provides some decent utility for those decks. It has an effect that, in a merfolk deck from your sideboard or in the main, does provide some efficiency. So I don't think Thassa's or Jace are what needs to be banned. I really feel that Inverter of Truth needs to be banned from the format, and I don't see why they wouldn't. They banned Smuggler's Copter, and Smuggler's Copter wasn't a win condition. It just fit into a variety of decks. It fit into mono black. It fit into the blue black or the blue red. Slipped my mind. Artifact deck, anyways. Install Artifact. And that wasn't a win condition. It's just that it slotted into so many decks. This in a combo deck, having Inverter Truth stick around, I think isn't going to keep it's not going to make the format healthy. People are going to keep playing it as essentially the best deck, and I think it needs to go. So my vote for in Pioneer, the bans are to be Lotus Field or Breach, and I believe really Inverter of Truth is going to get the hit. So it's my Pioneer picks. Whether you agree or not, this is just, kind of my opinion, and we'll definitely all see Monday what happens. Last two, so Modern. So Modern's in a similar position. with Arcum's Astrolabe. It's kind of wrecking havoc on Modern. And, when you look at the card, face up, it doesn't seem like this is what's going to be wrecking a format like Modern. I've seen a lot of people say Modern's diversified right now. It's fun. But yeah, I think it's that same situation where if every deck or a good chunk of the top 4 decks, top 8 decks are all running the same card, it's definitely providing, something, an advantage to every deck that, doesn't really fit the theme of that deck or what those colors should do. So, everyone's running Snow, you're running Arcum's Astrolabe, you're getting all your mana fixing, and then once again, here we are with, Sultai or we have Simic in there. We're running our package of Uros, we're running our Cryptics, our Forces, we're getting that advantage. It's just too fast, and this card comes in, you draw a card that replaces itself, it fixes your mana. I think it's a little bit too much. So my pick in Modern for sure to get the ban is Arcum's Astrolabe. If I look at the other top cards, that are coming through in Modern, at the moment I don't see anything else that needs to get the ban. People could make a case for Neobrand. I don't play a ton of Modern, so I'll just leave it to what I've been hearing. Arcum's Astrolabe needs to go, and if that goes and Neobrand is running through the format, then in the next ban and restricted, maybe Neobrand needs to go. So, anyways, that's my opinion on Modern. Whether you like it or not, it's just my opinion. I'm not huge into Modern, so I'm not involved in it as much as other people who may disagree, which is totally fine. And the last format that is getting a hit is the Pauper format. So I believe in Pauper and Modern as well. I should have mentioned this. Mystic Sanctuary has been on people's lists, as well as Arcum's Astrolabe. I think Mystic Sanctuary, from what I hear, Mystic Sanctuary is going to get the hit in Pauper for sure. Maybe not Modern, but Pauper, Mystic Sanctuary is going to go, as well as Arcum's Astrolabe might get the kick in Pauper as well. I'm not big into Pauper. I know tons of people are. The Prof is always ranting and raving about Pauper. Like, look at the price of some of these, these top meta decks. $56 for Blue Black Delver. Burns $52. Delver Fairies $67. Teamer Affinity $43. Maybe it's a format I need to spend more time to get into, because those are some affordable prices for some really fun decks. But if these decks are being ruined by, the cards like Mystic Sanctuary, Arcum's Astrolabe, I don't know. It's not making a fun format. So I think that's the point about Magic. We're supposed to have fun formats. And trust me, there's definitely people who have fun playing those cards. I would have fun playing those cards. I like the control aspect of Magic. That's my favorite format or type of gameplay. I like control. And those cards enable control decks to play better. But at a certain point, is it ruining a format? Is it affecting a format in a negative way? And if it is, I think it needs to go. So my picks that I have for these formats, historic best of 1 is Burning Tree Emissary, and best of 3 is Nexus of Fate. For Pioneer, I think it's something for the Breach deck, either Breach itself or Lotus Field, as well as Inverter of Truth. Modern, I think my only pick is Arcum's Astrolabe, and in thinking more, possibly Mystic Sanctuary. And Pauper, I think it's going to be Mystic Sanctuary, and Astrolabe will get the hit there as well. So, just my opinions. Agree, disagree, leave comments. I'm totally open to having conversations with everyone. It's Magic's a passion of mine. And this is just my opinion. You don't have to agree. You can disagree. It's just my guesses. We will know for sure what's getting the axe on Monday, July 13th. So, on that day, we can all have a quick chat and laugh and see who was right, who was wrong. Maybe we're all out to left field. I really think Nexus of Fate is a for sure, as well as Astrolabe in Modern, and Pioneer being one of my favorite formats. I really hope at least Inverter of Truth gets the ban, but we shall see. So until then, I am Tempt My Terror, and if you'd like to follow me on social media, I'm on Twitter at Tempt My Terror. I'm on YouTube at youtube.com/TempMyTerrorMTG. And I am on Instagram at TempMyTerraMTG. So if you want to come check out some content, eventually some fun giveaways, come take a look. And yeah, let's have a chat about things. Talk to you there. Bye.